Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar on the design and coordination of BIM models. I'm Asher, and I'll be going through this webinar today. Now, we're just waiting on a few other people, so we're going to get started in a few moments. In the meantime, if you guys could confirm the audio quality on your end through either the questions tab or just raise your hand and I'll be able to see how well the audio is coming through. Thanks, guys. All right, I think we'll leave it there. I'm sure there's other people coming through, but that's fine. So let's get started. This webinar is on the design and coordination of BIM models. Now, a bit about what I'm going to go through the presentation. Initially, of course, we're going to go through the Open BIM workflow. So basically explaining how we like to operate within our environment here at CYPE and the BIMserver.center. Then we're going to look at IFC Builder. IFC Builder is our architectural modeler. We're going to create a simple project and just walk around the basic environment within the program. I'm also going to look at the functionality within the BIMserver.center with IFC Builder, of course. I'm going to show some examples as well, so to demonstrate the capabilities of our architectural modeler. And then I'm going to look at our Revit plugin. So for all of you guys that use Revit, we've also developed, of course, a plugin where we can actually bring in your Revit models into our workflow and make it accessible for our specialized applications. And a bit about that in a moment. So I'm obviously going to import a Revit model into IFC and then look at the BIMserver.center after that. Thereafter, we're going to look at our Open BIM model checker. So our Open BIM model checker is, of course, our application for the sort of organization of our BIM projects. So within the Open BIM model checker, we're going to look at how to create certain issues, analyze different clashes, and things like that as well. And we're going to look at a nice large project as well in our Open BIM model checker. We're also going to create a new project in Open BIM model checker, and I'm going to demonstrate the functionality of detecting clashes, etc., etc. So no screen is visible, it's still showing entrance screen. Okay. Uh-oh. Audience view. Oh my bad. How do I just bear with me one moment? Okay. Thanks for that, Supak. Okay, now you guys can view the screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so again, we start off with this diagram here, which I think actually does a great example of demonstrating our workflow. So today, what we're going to be dealing with is our physical 3D model. Now, this physical 3D model can be generated, of course, in our architectural modeler, which is IFC Builder. So that's the main focus of this presentation, along with Open BIM Model Checker. So of course, now this physical 3D model can be generated in other programs as well, which is what we're going to look at. So Revit, Allplan, Archicad, all our different architectural modelers. We have two specialized programs where we're going to look at. One of them we're going to look at today is Revit, the Revit plugin. so coming from Revit into our workflow. And also we have another one called IFC Uploader. Now IFC Uploader is the generic one where we can bring in any sort of architectural model and bring it into our workflow, basically converting it into IFC format to make it applicable with our BIMserver.center. So so now that leads me to the BIMserver.center here. So once we've synchronized our architectural modeler into our BIMserver.center, it becomes a part of the shared information. So what that means is we can share the architectural model with our stakeholders, so people that contribute to the program, and also different people that may have interest in viewing our programs, etc. Now, once that becomes a part of that shared information, you can see here using our BIM model update functions, we can make use of our specialized applications. Now, if you've joined us in any other webinars, I know last week we did CYPE 3D, which is a structural program. We modeled our structural model in CYPE 3D, and then we basically updated our model. And then in the BIMserver.center, we could see both models, our architectural model and our structural model, and the list goes on. So all our specialized applications basically encompass a wide range of applications dealing with architecture, engineering, and construction. So maybe we can have a look now. I'm going to also just a thing to point out, which is quite important here, and basically one of the main features, I think, and benefits of using this workflow is our technical documents. So we can obtain all our technical documents in one place on the BIMserver.center. So we can look at all the different models that have been associated with this architectural project, and we can download through the internet all our technical documents. So things such as specifications, as you can see here, down here, estimates, schematic diagrams, and reports as well. And so you as a user, as a professional, are able to allocate certain technical documents to certain people, certain permissions, etc., etc. So that's a little bit about the functionality of the workflow. What are the benefits of bringing your project into our operating methodology? Now, if you haven't already, I would encourage you guys to head over to BIMserver.center here, create an account. It's very easy to create an account. All you have to do is have an email address. You'll get a confirmation email, confirm the confirmation, and you basically have access to the BIMserver.center. So let's have a look. I'm going to head into the store now. I've got it here. So here you can see our 3D design applications. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, ask them through the questions panel. Now, if I can answer them quickly, I will simultaneously. But if not, and I think it deserves a longer explanation, I'll leave it to the end. So yeah, don't fret. I will answer all questions. Now, as I said, IFC Builder, our architectural modeler, free for download, so you guys can download it right now if you guys wanted to. Also, our Open BIM Revit plugin. So this is again for the purpose of bringing in our Revit models, and IFC Uploader for that for those generic programs such as Allplan, etc., Archicad as well. Now, of course, what this basically does here is it allows any user coming from anywhere to make use of our workflow. So no one's left out, and we've tried to do that in our repertoire here. And then we have our Open BIM model checker here. So these are all available to download on the BIMserver.center store. Now, let's head back to a project that I have. So I've gone into projects here. Let's have a look at one project. So this is a school that's been modeled off an actual school in Germany. bit of information about it here. And you can see here, what I want to demonstrate now is the workflow here. So you can see all our specialized applications are able to model on the physical 3D model. So if I come back here, you can see if I go over here, I have my architectural model, which has been toggled on as visible. I can turn it transparent if I want to, and you can see here all the different models. So all my different project collaborators that have modeled these particular respects to the architectural model. So things such as, let's have a look at our structural model here. So basically, a wide range of different abilities here. Now you can see it took a while because I have different analytical models associated with my structural model. So here you can see this would be the different analysis that I've done on the project. Loads as well. So I can turn these off. And you can see here, I see the bare structural model. So columns, walls, foundations, etc. Now a bit about the dashboard. You can see here the different warnings that are associated with this project. Now we're going to go through this at the end where we look at Open BIM Model Checker. So what this basically does, Open BIM Model Checker, we'll obviously go into it in more detail later, but the different models here, we developed a way to generate and find the clashes as well. So with that program, we're able to generate these issues within the program. And you can see here, I have 3 issues here. One's been solved, and I have some requirements that have been generated by my project work team, and I can view that here. Have some requests as well. I can look at the latest changes that have been made, the files associated with the project, and the project activity here as well. So just a little condensed view. So this is just the dashboard. So I hope that's sort of demonstrated the different models that have been associated. So here you can see we toggled on the structural model, but here you can see as well our wireless networks, carpentry, water equipment, lighting analysis using our lead application. The rebar as well, etc., etc. HVAC, suspended ceilings, and the list goes on. So in terms of functionality, with a wide range of application, it's definitely something we pride ourselves in. Now, I can also look at the warnings in more detail here. Maybe we can have a look at that. You know, it may be in a different language, but that's fine. So you can see here the basic issues and requirements. What I wanted to do was look at the files as well. Now here you can see the files that are associated with my project, the owner of that particular file or the publisher, and the latest change made and the size. So I can go into particular applications such as the carpentry and view all the files that have been shared with my project collaborator. So again, office furniture, etc., etc. Now, of course, our files can be generated in any format, of course, and we're going to look at that a bit later on, and things such as that as well. So architectural model, so you can see all my floor models can be downloaded here quite easily. So what does this mean? It basically means that anyone can obtain these files whenever they want, just by simply having the permissions in the project and an internet connection. That's basically all you need to do to obtain all these files that are associated with the project. So this is another sort of benefit here. You know, before this sort of workflow came along, it was quite difficult to have your files in one place, right? You had different professionals working in different areas with a sort of a discommunication of paperwork, etc. Now with this, everything's here. we can also upload files as well if we wanted to that haven't been generated within the project. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the sort of transparency within the project, so that you have different professionals being able to maximize their design time, and that's basically what it comes down to. So they spend less time. You can see here, this is a sort of from all the studies that have been done on this workflow, it's sort of come to the conclusion that we maximize design time and reduce well, basically everything: construction cost, delays, etc. Even looking at certain aspects such as construction waste as well. So we're dealing with different methodologies to analyze and reduce our construction waste. And of course, in times like these are the sort of things that are being emphasized by our regulators and governments, etc. As well, I mean, these sort of days we're looking at these more developed countries actually making it compulsory for you to sort of submit a BIM model before getting accepted and getting permission for that particular project. So for you to compete, you have to show these sort of workflows. Now, okay, so that's a bit about the workflow. I hope I've demonstrated this well as well. What I'm going to do now is head into IFC Builder. So let's go. Again, if you guys have any questions, please ask them away. So I've just opened the project. You can see here the BIM Service Center connection. So what this basically means is I'm connected to my profile, and you can see here as well, if I open my synchronizer, this is the inbuilt synchronizer that, if I go back to the workflow, you can see the synchronization, and that's the main function of our synchronizer. So what this basically does is I don't want to get too technical, but what it does is basically forms a connection between your desktop, the BIM Service Center, and the application you use. And you guys, if you guys have used our programs before, you'll know that our BIM Service Center button is always on the top right-hand corner, and this is how we update our models, etc., etc. So you can see all my different projects that are in the BIM Service Center that are being synchronized at the moment. And this is done in real time. Okay, so we have a few options here upon starting the program. So we can create a new project with our file tab here. We can also open projects from the past. We have some examples, which we'll be going through some a bit later. Our recent files, some help documentation, as well as, of course, the connection here. So what I can do is I can disconnect here, and you can see here, all I need to do is log in with the same login that I have on the BIM Service Center. And once I've connected, you can see that that connection has been made, and I can move forward with the project. So what I'm going to do now is create a new project. Let's call this and the program asked me, is the lecture recorded? Yes, it will be, Desid. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, so the program asked me before starting a project, do I want to create an empty project, so start from fresh, or do I want to introduce a CAD BIM model? Now, in this example, we're going to be looking at an empty project, but of course, if you guys already have your CAD or BIM models, we can import them into our IFC Builder to make changes, to consult your project as well. So empty job. And here we have, of course, the allocation of different floors and groups. Now what I'm going to do is just create an extra level with 3 meters. I can amend the height. I can also introduce elevations above ground floor, etc. So the functionality is there. Let's accept. And then the program asks me, do I want to introduce drawing templates as well? So I'm going to click yes. This is our templates view manager. So what we can do is bring in some templates. Let's do these two. And of course, we've brought those in. So DXF and DWG files. And within the templates view manager, of course, I'm able to play around with my templates. So edit different aspects about the template, etc., such as visibility, adjustments of scale as well. So transforming it as well. Then we can also assign different group views. So here you can see my ground floor. I can assign it to the ground floor template, my floor 1 to the floor 1, the first floor. And of course, I can obtain GXF files from those templates and save those GXF files. Now, within the templates view manager, I'm also able to toggle on and off the different layers as well. And we're going to have a look at that a bit later. But of course, this is just a very simple drawing file. We don't have a lot of time in this presentation to look at complex projects. So let's accept these changes. And we're greeted with the workflow here. So this is the main screen. Very simple, sort of easy to use, and easy to learn is what I'm trying to say. So you can see here we can amend the orientation of our project, whichever way we want. We can again go back to the floors and groups and edit those as well. Sufak asks, now it's a specific question. He asked whether we can make different heights in the same floor, like a part of the floor is 5 meters high and the other is 4 meters. What you need to do, just in short, is create 2 separate floors and define them as such as well. So the program understands that. But of course, I'll go into more detail about it a bit later if that doesn't answer your question. But moving on. We of course have the functionality to copy groups, etc., as well as adding different point clouds as well. So if you have these sort of files in PTS, PTX, XYZ, and text files, we can of course bring those into the workflow and assign those point clouds to particular floors. Now that's for another presentation. Of course, we have our 3D view button here. Of course, I'm not going to look at that because there's nothing there. And again, what I was mentioning, the BIM functionality there. So the ability to update the model. So whenever I've made changes, I can press update. And then my project collaborators will see those changes in the BIMserver.center and also on their projects. And also the export button. So I can export to my local drive as well. And you can see here the status of my connection. Again, we have the object snaps, the different layers, so I can toggle on and off the different layers, and also a 3D view button here. You can see there's nothing there. Okay, moving on to the architecture tab. So these are the different construction elements we're able to define within the project. So walls and partitions, the different walls and partitions. Floor slabs, so screed internal floor slabs, flat roof, slope roof, and openings on floor slabs. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the bare necessity elements. These are the things that create the overall architectural model in no detail. Basically, the only detail we give right now is sort of the, you can see here, just the thickness, right? All the detail and functionality comes in when we bring in the workflow. Openings as well, so glazed carpentry, windows, doors. We can also insert skylights as well in different shapes, columns as well. We can also introduce closed elevation changes. Now, Sufak asks whether we can do this. Now, this is another way to do it. So if we introduce closed elevation changes, we can basically create fictitious partitions between slabs as well. And we can have a look at that a bit later. Another pivotal part of IFC Builder especially when we're talking about the functionality with the workflow, is the definition of spaces. So what this basically means is that we can assign different spaces and assign the boundaries of particular spaces. So here you can see I'd have the sitting area here, the dining area, etc. What I mean is the definition of this enclosure here. What this basically does is once we've defined that space, we go into our different applications, such as, for instance, our energy applications, where we need to define different spaces as having different characteristics, and you can see where I'm going there. So columns, different shaped columns, groups of spaces as well, we can group them, and also introduce nearby buildings and obstacles. So this is another nifty feature here, is we can define different buildings as having this sort of, so basically what I'm trying to say is we can model the environment of our building so that when we look at, again, another example is the energy profile. So when we do our energy calculations, those shadows generated by this building are taken into consideration. So our editing tab and also our results. So we can analyze the project and see if we've had any incidents, etc. So let's get into it. I'm going to create a very, very simple project here just to show the functionality. Let's create a project, a column, rectangular, 0.3 by 0.3. Now you can see my template snaps are not on, so I'll come over here and introduce my template snaps. Now there isn't really one, I get asked this question, is there any sort of one best fit arrangement here? No, there isn't. Sort of, I like to turn nearest off, but here you can see I can define my columns. Let's just leave that off then. And of course, I can come into columns and I can move them. So demonstrating the sort of functionality and ease of use right now, basically. So the program understands what you need to do and you can work with it as such. Let's create another column here. Maybe one here too. So then we go into walls, external walls. I can create a different wall. So 0.3 meters thick, and I can now now, of course, this is very rushed, but what I want to do is just demonstrate sort of how we work. And I'm not coloring between the lines, as they say. Then I'd obviously I'm able to generate partitions. I can go now. We would have let's create a external wall here too. I can, of course, if I had more time, go into adjusting this particular wall to the different sections and looking at editing the spaces as well. Obviously, we can't do that right now. So basically what I want to demonstrate is here. I can go into, so again, I can create different openings, doors, etc. Maybe I'll have a look at doing that. Openings, doors, create door 01. I can obviously toggle the different widths and heights of that door. Let's leave it as a standard door, and I can come over here to the project and create the door. The door is there. And of course, I'm not sticking to the template, but I'm just trying to demonstrate the overall workflow. Glazed carpentry and openings. And you can see here in little to no time, I'm able to create a very simple architectural model. I can look at slabs as well. So slab 01. I can also create openings in the slab. Quite easily. And you can see here in little to no time, I've created one story within the project. Now also, it's great to notice in the 3D view, the different functionality. So I'm able to toggle on or off the different floors that I've created. I can look at making the different transparencies of my elements as well. And we're going to demonstrate the functionality a bit as well. I can look at introducing a ground vision. Object edges, so to detail the project a bit better. And also generation of shadows as well. So this is another great feature we have here. So I can introduce orientations and latitudes and simulate the shadows throughout the year, throughout the season as well, and time. Okay, so that's a bit about the project. That's a bit about IFC, creating a fresh project in IFC. Now, let's have a look at some larger projects that have taken a bit longer to produce, to generate. Let's have a look at this one here. This is the City Hall project. Now you can see here, a bit more complicated than the one I've developed, but that's fine. So you can see here quite a large project with 3 floors. Let's go to 3D view here. And you can see here the project. Let's make the walls and partitions as such transparent. And you can see here my so obviously the different ways that we've modeled openings, etc. as well. Now you can see here the demonstration of spaces. So this is another thing I didn't mention, but you can see here the different spaces that have been assigned here. So within this boundary, we have the administration office, the hall, the legal department, etc., etc. This is very important. So Sid just asked whether there's multi-layered walls. No, not in the architectural model. Just in the architectural modeler, we basically just tell the workflow that there's a wall. We don't specify. We only specify the thickness. So again, when we move into our structural programs, etc. So our structural programs, our energy programs. So when we're looking at, for instance, our energy program, our E+, if you guys were there with the webinar, we actually define each component of the particular wall to a certain degree to the company, and that company in our workflow, we have those different values associated with the multi-layered walls to basically produce an overall energy value, looking at transmission, etc. So no, in IFC Builder, just the allocation of particular sections. So I want to stress the ability to define the spaces here. So let's continue on. Let's have a look at another project. This is the hotel project. So here we have quite a larger, different multi-level project here. And you can see this has been developed in IFC Builder. Again, I also have different functionality within the 3D view. So looking at particular, of course, so looking at particular views, orientations, sorry, amending the background color. Oh, we don't want to be upside down. Oh, looking at the background color as well, etc. We can rotate about a vertical, we can rotate about an axis, rotation about a point. Now you can see here the functionality when we're looking at creating different material. Rotation about the camera. So if I wanted a specific point, this is great when we're actually inside the building and we want to look at particulars. With that as well, we can split the building in different axes. So to look at a sort of cut section. And of course, the different axes. Cool. Now, of course, I said the shadows. Okay, so let's move on to another example. Now, this is a residential sort of property section here. So let's have a look. We've modeled different 4 different houses. Sorry, not 4, 8 different houses, and we basically modeled the. So this is a sort of development that we've created here. And you can see here I'm able to do basically the same thing here, and all those spaces have been generated, and I can also define the different surroundings as well. One last one. What's this one? This is the school center that's been developed. That was the one that we developed. Now, okay, great. Now, so we've shown some examples. What I wanted to demonstrate was maybe the Revit functionality. So let's move on to that. Let's go back to the BIMserver.center, the store. You can see the plugin here that's been downloaded. All I did was press download. It's free for download, available in these languages. And what it basically does is it creates a plugin within the program. So all I've done now, this is an example. Basically, all I searched for was Revit Example downloadable project. This is what I got. This is from the Revit store, the Revit website, sorry. And you can see here all the different elements. And you can see here the sort of functionality we have with Revit. So initially, what I want to mention is, of course, the collaboration on the BIM project. So by clicking this button, I create a new project on the BIMserver.center. Now, once that becomes a part, again, with the workflow, so once that becomes a part of that BIMserver.center, it's able to be modeled with different specialized applications. And that's basically the aim of collaborating on the Open BIM project. So I would click this, and the collaboration, the project will be made on this design. What I wanted to touch on as well is another functionality we have. So we have different programs to generate quantities and prices of particular programs. Again, we have that connection. So our Archimedes program is obviously connected with Revit, and also our quantities extraction file, where we can look at harnessing the potential of different applications for cost estimates, etc., etc. Now, get a good look at this project. You can see here a nice looking project. I can go into my BIMserver.center here, go into my projects, and I've done this before. And you can see here my example export that's been done. And you can see that that project's been been analyzed and brought into our workflow with all the elements here. Now, of course, once that's been done, I can look at the different recommended projects that have been given to me by the BIM Service Center to again model the projects. Now you can see here this project is basically empty. There's no one associated and just one file. So just for demonstration purposes, the functionality with Revit and also the interoperability. I'm not going to go through it now, but again, with our IFC uploader to bring in your projects from different programs. Now, that's a little bit about the functionality there. So let's move on to Open BIM Model Checker. Now, I'm going to create a new project here. So our Open BIM Model Checker, again, is to check the different models and basically function as a sort of one-stop shop for creating issues and resolving issues in regards to particular models and clashes within the project. So let's create a new project here. Again, same functionality. So the sort of ease of use is translated through all our programs. Let's create an example. Here, the program asks me to import a model. So here I can go into, of course, I can create a new project, which doesn't really make sense, to be honest, because the program Open BIM Model Checker basically is once you've actually created a project. Let's look at, for instance, this project here. Or maybe a more simpler one so we don't spend too much time. Okay, this one here. Now let's hope we have some clashes in this project. Then you can see here all the different models that are, all the different IFC models that are associated with this project. I can come over here, select all of them to bring them in, and we can finish the importation of that model. And then we'll be greeted with our home screen for our Open BIM Model Checker. Now, so basically what we're trying to do is make this a program where sort of a sort of enhancement with the BIM Service Center, where we can create different issues and also organize our project collaborators and their function as well. Now, this is quite a simple project, but in this example, I just want to demonstrate the overall environment here. So I have my simple granny flat project that I've defined, that I've created. You can see here, I can look at the different floors, the different models associated with the project. So I can turn off my thermal loads if I want to. Also, sorry, not my thermal loads, my fire simulation model. And here you can see I'm able to look at the different categories of elements. I can go into issues and define different issues as well. I can run a clash detection as well, which we're going to do in a moment, and also download the different drawings that are associated with this model. Easily being able to do that. So let's demonstrate. So this is my HVAC model. You can see my system outside. I open the materials list, and the materials list is there for me, easily accessible as well. So a sort of enhancement that works alongside the BIM Service Center as well. So what I want to demonstrate now, just in this project, is the clash detection. So I can go into creating a new combination. So new example. I select the files in which I want to find the clashes. So I'd go into architectural model, for instance, and maybe let's have a look at the clashes with the furniture. And I can accept those changes, and I can, here you can see 12 collisions have been found within the project, and you can see as well, I'm able to view these collisions and view which which element has collided with that particular wall, for instance, or slab, and I'm able to create and view the collision just by clicking on it here. Now that's just the collision detection. If I consult these collisions, okay, and I think they're okay, I can of course discard the collisions, and then they become a part of the discarded collision section here. So they don't actually, we never delete the collisions. And of course I can create issues. So for instance, I can select this here and create an issue here. So you can see here, I've created this issue with the collision between the bed and the wall. Let's have a look. Yep, so all that needs to be done here is the bed needs to be moved. I can go into issues here. I can pan around, view the particular issue, take a capture the current view of the issue, and create a description. So bed needs to be moved away from wall to avoid collision. Now, of course, this is a very novel program. Sorry, not a very novel program, but I mean a very novel issue here that I've defined. Another great feature here is that I can I can select the different element that needs to be changed. So for instance, here you can see my bed and my wall. These are the two elements that have taken part in the collision. If I select the wall here and I save and I update, then my particular person who defined the wall gets a notification and says, okay, blah blah blah. The project leader, etc., has found a collision and something needs to be changed. Now that doesn't make sense. I would have to go and define my, and select my my furniture modeler to make the change. Instead of changing the wall, we move the bed, right? So once that's done, we update the model, and then that functionality is there. So we can, of course, go back into the BIM Server.center, and the issue will be generated there as well. Now, another thing as well, which I don't have time to demonstrate now because you'll just have to take my word for it. Now, when that particular person that has been assigned the change there to be made in the furniture program, once he opens this project, he knows that there's an issue. Once he opens this project in Open BIM Furniture, which is our furniture modeler, he will get that, he will know exactly where it is because I've defined the space here. I can also assign a reference point to this error. And once I've done that, then this reference point for this particular collision and issue has been defined. So then he has he or she are able to identify the issue quickly and make the change as such. Then once he updates the model, I update my model here, and I can change the status to solved. And that's basically a bit about the workflow. Now, Kenneth asks, how does Open BIM Checker compare with Selectable Model Checker? At the moment, they're quite similar in the functionality. And that's basically what we're doing. What we're doing now is also implementing within this next version coming out, where we're trying to personalize our programs even more. So if we go into documents, or even in our 3D view, the functionality isn't there where we can actually click on a certain element and obtain all the checks that have been defined. Now this is something that is quite that's in the process at the moment, that Selectable I don't think does. So of course the functionality is there with in comparison to other checkers, but you can see here the sort of direction we want to go into, where we can bring in the different checks that have been made and easily access them within the project. So how easy would it be for you to go into here, click on a certain external wall that has been defined in your structural model and get all my load bearing calculations and reports as well. Here you can see we do have that functionality. Yeah, so if that report has been made available with our structural model, you can see I don't have the structural model here, but for instance, let's see, the HVAC model. If I had the analysis report defined here, I'd be able to download that. But you can see here just the drawing and the aerothermal projects defined here. Now you can see here we do have something as such, but this is sort of where we want to go to distinguish ourselves from different programs. So stay tuned for that. Moving on, let's have a look at a bigger project. You can see here the sort of way I'm presenting. I show a very basic project, and then I look at a project that's much larger and that's taken much longer to develop. So this is a Bauhaus a project that we've taken part in. Of course, this is a university in Germany that we've defined. Again, about the visualization, so you can see what I was demonstrating here. Not only am I able to look at the different models and toggle on and off the models here, but also the categories of elements. So if I wanted to just look at columns, for instance, I can do that if I want to. And all the different elements that have been defined in all my applications as well. Now, let's have a look. So look at the issues that have been defined as well. So again, what I wanted to mention as well was within those issues and those collisions, we're able to obtain all the different elements that have taken part in the collision as well, and we can assign different authors that need to consider and analyze that particular element. I can also, of course, change the color. Now, let's have a look at some. This is a description here. I can go into the description here, or I can go using this particular thing and view the incident from which it was defined, so I don't have to go looking for it. You can see here the distance between columns is too big. We should include a new column in between the two existing. So you can see a project collaborator has made this change, and he's defined it as a change that needs to be solved. I can view all the elements here. Now, of course, the author hasn't been attributed here, but I can do that if I want to. Another issue. Oh, no. Let's go back. I did something. I want to go to view the incident from the particular point. And you can see here, we want to give the exterior facade a new view. Concrete pillars must be changed to wood pillars. And so that change has been done. You can see the reference point that's been introduced as well, and all the different columns that are associated with that project, associated with that issue. Now here, we have another clash here that's been made. You can see both main stairs of the building have a width that is bigger than the space that had been reserved for them. Please decrease 10 centimeters the size. So a very basic issue here. And I'm able to view that as well. And you can see here the different elements that are associated as well, and the selection of which element to change. So which element that needs review. So here you can see the stairs. It doesn't make sense to change the wall. Downpipe of the residential block here. So here you can see a downpipe needs to be created within the floor slabs. So create a downpipe in the residential block of the building. A hole in the floor slabs of 4, 5, 6, 7 floors must be opened. And you can see here, by using my editing tabs here, I'm able to create visual descriptions to a high degree, so that we keep that that explicit knowledge about the particular issue. Window to the exterior. move the window to the exterior side of the wall as it is resting on the building, and you can see the change that's been done here. So these small collisions have been defined, and we've created issues. Move table, so you can see this issue's been solved already. So you can see before, I don't know exactly what happened there, and the table has been moved. So basically just a sort of course, these are sort of very simple issues, but of course, when we look at clash detection and detecting all our clashes, there is, of course, there is some potential for larger issues and clashes that need to be detected. Of course, our different documents as well, etc., etc. Now, of course, we had the different models here. I can also look at the different ways of looking at my model as well. So monochrome drawing. I can show information about particular sections here, about particular elements within the project, etc. Visualization here. I'm able to create or if I go out now, let's get out of here. Go back to normal drawing. Again, that 3D functionality is there where I can turn on and off the particular models and view the project as such. I'm also able to go into the different views of that particular model. So I can look at a transparent model and also a wireframe drawing as well. So you can see here, my carpentry windows are all defined as wireframes. Okay, so that is a little bit about the Open BIM Model Checker. Now, I hope that this sort of functionality is being demonstrated here. You can see as well the sort of way in which we like to work. So we have our different models. We work in a collaboration. Now, of course, I'm talking about collaboration as well, but if you're a team of 2-3 people, or even by yourself, there is still functionality here for, and we've actually seen that. So, but of course, there are different benefits to adopting this workflow, and also being in a smaller team. It's not just for larger tier 1 companies that have different departments for different sections, etc., etc. And that's basically what I wanted to go through in the presentation. Now, if you guys want to, for a bit of inspiration, of course, this is the sort of design presentation. I can make available these sort of projects to use, and you guys can view as well for your leisure all the different projects and obtain some sort of inspiration from them here as well. Now, that's it. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to be taking them now. And I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Now, what I would encourage you guys to do, now I went through IFC Builder as well, but another great way that you guys can learn the program, if you guys download it for free, is head over to Udemy. I've developed a free course for the design of BIM models, where I look at, of course, I rushed this example here. You can see my walls are all wonky, etc. But in this course here, that's available for free to download, we're able to, of course, enroll into the project, into the course, and here you can see all the different aspects of design that I've gone through in particular, and that's and this is my course that I've developed as well. So that's just by Googling IFC Builder course on Google, and you guys will have it there. So that's it. Again, I'm taking questions. So Shufak asked whether we can create custom categories in Open BIM Model Checker. Now, the custom categories, no. This is a sort of thing where the Open BIM Model Checker is able to analyze all the different elements and create categories of elements. I'm not sure what you mean by custom categories where the custom categories, so you can group different elements. No, it's not particularly for this for the purpose of this here. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. Let's have a look. Chris asks, how much does IFC Builder cost? Good news. Let's have a look. Back. IFC Builder is for free. Was what I'm going to think. So you can see here the free button here. So free for download. I would encourage you guys to go and play around with it. Chris, just so you learn, what we want to do is basically encourage people to use IFC Builder and create a model. And basically, once you've created the model, then you can sort of look at the different workflows and see what works for your particular methodology that you like to adopt in your profession, of course. Chris, I hope that answers your question. Sufak, I'm not sure what you mean by create our own families. Let me just, let's see, I mean, the X focus, etc. Sufak, maybe we can go through your particular specific question at the end. Oh, sorry, after the presentation, we can have a chat. Chunwi William, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. The requirements to join the course, there are no requirements. It's for free. Just go into it, download IFC Builder. It's a free tool that you can download and you can learn about it today. Okay, is a checker free? Now, let's have a look. Alif Nu Kadikli. I hope I pronounced your name wrong. Sorry if I didn't. Now that's a specific question about a particular project you have. I would have to. This is just a project where this is just a webinar where we don't look at particular specifics. Now that's a very specific question. I will have to refer you to our technical support, where they will be able to help you out. Actually, yep. What is needed to join the course on Udemy? Nothing. Just create an account on Udemy and you can sign up. Okay, any other questions, guys? Answer them here. Sorry, ask them now because we're just heading over. Let's see if there's any others. That's it. Open BIM. Kenneth asked about the DCF files. I'm not actually too sure at the moment, Kenneth. I'll get back to you on that. Those BIM collaboration files. Now, I'm quite sure we do, but I'm not going to say for sure because I'm not certain at the moment. But I will get back to you on that as well. I'm almost certain that we do, but I'm not going to say that now. Umesh asked whether the program can be used for marine structures. marine structures. Now you can see the program can develop structures of any sort. So depending on what sort of specialized elements that are included in those marine structures, if you can model them using all these elements here and alongside many more, then of course we can model a marine structure. Chawuni William, sorry again if I'm spelling your name wrong. Is there another tool that does the same task as Open BIM Model Checker that is less costly? Open BIM Model Checker is basically the cheapest model checker on the market right now. Solibri cost, I don't know how much was it, 10,000 euros to basically do the same function as what we do here. And you see, and you can view the price that we have with the Open BIM Model Checker as well on the BIMserver.center. Now, someone asked up here, where is it? Whether the Open BIM Model Checker, how much it costs. You can view the price on the BIMserver.center, but that price is only specific for clash detection. So this function right here, to detect the clashes, we charge a certain price for that functionality there, which is much cheaper than all the other programs on the market. But in terms of using it for issues and generation of issues, it's free. You can download it for free. So again, it's this freemium model where you can view your project here, create different issues, but again, the automatic clash detection is, of course, comes at a cost. All right, guys, I think that's it. We have no more questions. For all you guys that have stayed all the way to the end, thank you. There are some other webinars that I'm going to be going through next week, looking at HVAC. So join us on that. No worries. And thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye.